Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create environments where people thrive. Through real conversations, practical strategies, and powerful stories, we equip leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself to build cultures rooted in purpose, performance, and authenticity. Because culture isn't something you talk about, it's something you live. This is the Contagious Culture Podcast. Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I am your host, Kyle King. And the goal of this podcast is simple: to help you create ecosystems and environments where people thrive. Look, today I'm super excited. We have somebody on here that's a celebrity, y'all. The High Rocks Queen, the Grant Queen, the, speaking at College Day Queen, but no, really, she is a force. She is somebody that is creating economic mobility for Black girls through community, through culture, and through capital. She is the founder of Dear Diary and the host of Diary of CEO. Mm-hmm. Right? I got that right? Mm-hmm. She's also one of the most honest and vulnerable and authentic people that I know. She's closed a multi-seven-figure company. Not because she failed, but because the market quietly evolved. And we're going to talk about all the things today. Yanna, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm amazing. So I am really surprised that you're on here, because if I did High Rocks, I'd probably be, I would have shut it down in the calendar for at least a week.
You know what? Yesterday, I texted my best friend. So I did it with her. We were partners. Yeah. And I texted her and I said, so it's been 5 days. I'm not sore anymore. And I think I want to do it again.
Let's go.
I was like, I think afterwards, I was like, I ain't never doing that again in my life. But then yesterday, I was like, I'm good. I could do this one more time. So now I'm on a new challenge where I'm challenging myself to run 5 miles in less than 60 minutes.
That's good.
So I'm like training for my next one. I haven't decided when it's going to be. It might not be this year just because of where they're going to be this year, and it doesn't quite work with my calendar, but I'll be back.
Look, we're going to do one. You should get your husband to do it, and then we'll do like a couples one.
Ooh, let's do it.
That'd be dope. That'd be dope. What made High Rocks so challenging for you?
So it's physically challenging. Like, I'm not going to say that it's physically easy. It's physically challenging. But High Rocks is a mental event too, right? Mm-hmm. And it's not a competition per se. So while there's other people and all of that, you're really just competing with yourself. So there is I do think they do like first, second, and third place prizes and things of that nature, but it's not quite a like regular competition. You are competing with you. And you are challenging yourself. And I did the women's double. So it was me and my best friend. But the conversations that I had to have with myself, right? Even with a partner, I was in it like, you're tired, but you're not done. And you said you're going to finish, right? Or, I was like, it's tough, but we're tougher. It was times where I was like, I really don't want to run anymore. And so I would stop. And I would walk for a second and I'm like, you got this. You said you're going to finish. You said you're going to keep putting one foot in front of the other. You got this. You've been here before. You know you can do this. So it's a lot of that more than it is like the physical side of it. And them burpees, oh my God.
Let me tell you something. Them burpees are different. I was training for one, and we were going to do the one in DC, and then it sold out or it stopped, or I don't know what happened. And so I was training, and everything else is kind of cool because I ran track in college, but them burpees.
The burpees. So we came in with a plan. We were like, okay, each of us is going to try to do 5 to 8, and then we'll switch. That was our strategy. When we got up there, we were like, if we got to do 1 and 1, we just got to get to the end. And my husband was there, and I was struggling. I probably had like 4 more to get to the end, and we would be done. And my husband said, do it for Sonny Boy. And that's what I needed. Like, I was laying on the floor and he said, babe, you got this. Do it for Sonny Boy. And I looked up, I looked at where I had to go. And I was like, my baby is at the end of this line and I'm going to get my baby.
That's good.
And when I got to the end, I was like, let's go.
Let's go.
Those burpees hit different. They hit different. And when you have your family watching and cheering you on,
Mhm.
and it's exciting, but you're like, "Oh my god, I'm so tired." And that's station like 4 or 5.
So it's
So
right
you're
there. Oh,
it's right there in the middle. They've placed everything very well. Um, but yeah, that was them burpees, the
you know, Yanna,
burpees.
you've said a lot, right? And I hope somebody didn't miss it. You did something that you've never done before. You were training, but I feel like you can't really fully train for something like this because it's a different level of competition. So when you went in, you were excited, you were ready to roll. You had your friend with you, you had your support and your accountability party. You had your family there supporting as well. But then when you were met with challenges, you talked about you had to have all of this self-talk to drown out wanting to stop, wanting to just turn around and say, "Nah, I'm good." And you had to be able to have a fortitude and a resilience and a strength that allowed you to finish because you had certain motivators throughout the competition. And one thing that you hit on, you said, look, this wasn't a competition like many competitions where we're trying to get there the fastest and all this. This was a competition between the person that you looked at in the mirror. Can you talk about where you learned the grit to keep going? Because it's showing up in so many other areas of your life, not just at High Rocks, but in building businesses, in creating platforms, and empowering other people, and all of the things that you do. You've had to battle and overcome that self-talk, that doubt, that change in economics, and all of these different things. Can you talk to us about where that comes from?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Um, for me, it's been a few interesting things. I've always been a reader. I mean, I got books behind me, and that's like
Yeah.
not even half of my collection. I've always been a reader, and growing up, I realized that a lot of our stories as Black women weren't being told or weren't being told the way I was experiencing them, right? And so it was a lot of like, Black women don't, Black women shouldn't, Black women can't, right?
Mm,
And I was like, my grandma and my mom and my aunts are the strongest people
that's
I've
good.
ever met in my life.
That's good.
And I'm like, either other people aren't experiencing the life that I'm experiencing and they're missing out,
Yeah.
or they're missing something. And so I've always grown up with this idea that Black women can change the world if we give ourselves permission to, because I realized that other people weren't giving us permission to.
Mm,
And so with everything that I've ever done, it's been about my own power to choose my outcome.
mm.
And of course, I can't always choose my outcome, like life be life in. So
Yeah.
certain things, of course, I can't choose my outcome, but I do feel very comfortable and confident in saying, I know what I have control over. And if I have control over certain things, then I know that I can get closer to where I want to get. So with High Rocks, it was like, this could take me all day, but
Yeah.
I am gonna finish. If I have to be crawling over the finish line, I am going to finish. And that's something that I've always said to myself. When I started graduate school, I was like, this is I already got a degree. I don't need a second degree. I already got a degree. I've done way more than people in my family have done.
Mhm.
This is enough. And I said, you told yourself you're gonna finish.
Mm.
Just finish. You told yourself you would finish. It's hard right now, but you're not done. And I thought about how I would feel if I quit on myself because I was the only, if I quit, my mama would,
Yes,
I
I
got
am.
full ride to grad school. She's like, it ain't costing me nothing. If you
Yeah.
quit, you just don't have to figure it out. And so for me, it's just always been this like me versus me because I feel like the world has already counted me out. Everything I do, they're not expecting.
Mm.
So if you've already counted me out, like, I have no there's nothing. I can just do
Yeah.
me. Like,
Yeah.
you're not expecting me to do anything. So when I do everything, it's unexpected, and now you gotta check yourself. But I'm just
At
doing what I
what
said I was gonna do.
at what point though do you believe that that ideology diminishes where because at this point I do expect great things from you. At this point because you have defied the odds, you've done the different things, you've built something that actually is valuable. So at the point where you're now expected to perform, what's the perspective or the mindset that you have now?
That's good. That's good. And I'm sitting in that right now. Honestly, I think that now there's a certain level of expectation that people do have of me, right? They've seen what I've been able to do. They've seen me overcome the odds. Like, I have animal science degrees, right? I have a dairy science
Wow.
degree. Crazy work, right? Totally
Yeah.
different from what I'm doing right now. But I think that what I am starting to truly, truly walk in is, out of everything that I've ever done, the one thing that I know is really important for me is to help the masses as it relates to Black women. It's been fantastic for me to be able to build and grow and do all of these things on my own. Now I feel like it has to be bigger than me. That actually scares me. It doesn't scare me to prove something to myself because I've done that.
That's good.
But now it's time for me to stand and say, not only can I do it, Black women can do it. And so it's kind of changed a little bit to where I'm now realizing that I'm not just a representation of myself, I'm a representation of my community and of the people who look like me that have been counted out and believe that narrative. I now need to be able to show them and take them with me because I know I can do it. Can I help other people do it? Like, can I scale what I've done for myself for other people? Which is really hard because what I've done isn't a conventional, like, come on, let me hold your hand and walk you through my journey, right? It's like, how can I teach you the fundamentals that I've used to get to where I am? And I know this is only the beginning to get you to where I've gotten to so that you can then continue to pass this on. So I think right now I'm in this space of like legacy building. And that doesn't take, you can do this, you can do this. That it's very, very, very different. Like, I mean, I went viral last week. It sounds great. Oh, you go viral. That's amazing. Everybody wants to go viral until you have to accept the responsibility of going viral, right? Like, now I have to carry this thing. And this is heavy. It's easy when I'm talking to myself in my head. It's totally different when I am talking to the masses. It's totally different when I am now influential, right? I wasn't influential at first.
No, that's perspective. And you said something so heavy, right? It's like we always are striving for the thing, but are we actually optimized when the thing happens to implement at a high level and maintain it? It's kind of like there's a lot of people that want $1 million, but when they get it, they don't know how to deploy it. There's a lot of people that want all these clients, but when they get it, they don't have the systems to be able to create a positive experience. But you have these systems in place now. Yeah, like you may be a little bit stressful. It may be stressful in the moment, but you have a way of doing things about yourself. And when you talk about legacy, that really resonates with me. A few weeks back, somebody asked me, like, how, like, why have you written so many books? And then I'm like, well, I feel a responsibility to people when I finish a chapter that I document how I got to it. And then so that I can be able to walk other people that haven't even gotten to that chapter through that chapter. And I feel like with planning this conference, I'm writing another chapter because this is something that truly scares me, being able to bring this amount of people from all over the world. We got off the phone earlier with somebody that's saying that they're $175,000 to come speak. And I'm looking at you like you looking at me right now. I'm like, this ain't it. Like we ain't there yet. So I think about all of that, but that leads me to my question. What is your step-by-step? Like if somebody came to you and was like, Yanna, how do I get to where you are now? Like what were the different touch points? What were the things that you've done over your career that you would lean towards that have gotten you to where you are?
Yeah. Understanding your why, like, why do you want that, right? Why? Let me use High Rocks. It's a good example. So I'm in the process of starting a hair company for Black women who live active lives. My best friend came to me and was like, we should do High Rocks. I was like, girl, no, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. And she was like, well, fine, you don't have to do it, but I want to wear your hair and get the photo package and take pictures for your hair company. And I was like,
I gotta
well,
do it.
when you make it about business, I'll do it, right? So like my why was different, right? Because when she first told me, I'm like, I don't got no reason to do that.
That's
I
good.
don't want to. But now my why is different. Also, what do you want? A lot of people don't know what they want.
Nah, that's true.
They know what they think they should want, but like, what do you really want? Like, what's on the other side of like, when I accomplish this, then I can say this, right?
Yeah.
For me, High Rocks, I was like, we're gonna have some pictures with this hair, and I can sell this hair. I ain't got to pay for a separate photo shoot. So, like, what is it that you truly want? And do you want it bad enough to sacrifice, right, for that thing? Like, you have to. When I met my husband, things were not where they are today. Okay. Let me just say, we have grown up.
Look, I get it.
But when things were crazy, I was like, this is not the life that I want. I only have control over me, though. And so if this is not the life that I want, if he's not giving me what I want, why is that? I'm not even showing up as who I want to be, right? I'm not showing up as the person that I want him to marry, right? So I didn't try to fix him. I was like, you got to fix you, sis. Like, you got to get out of this because this isn't what you want. And I knew from seeing relationships that I didn't want that my why, right? Like what I actually want, I want that way more than like trying to figure this out. I'd rather sacrifice losing this for what I really, really want. Right. And so I think that for a lot, and it was a sacrifice. Okay. It was a sacrifice. And luckily he got his life together and we were happily ever after. But let me tell you, it was a journey. But a lot of the things that I've gone through in my life has been that. Like, what do I want? And sometimes it's like, what do I want to say about myself? What's the mark that I want to be able to check? Right now, I can say I'm a High Rocks finisher. There's a lot of people that can't say that.
That's good.
I can say I've owned a multi-million-dollar business. I've always wanted to be able to say that about myself.
That's big talk.
Right? But like, that also required something of me. And I was willing to make that sacrifice for what I wanted. And so what I'm often preaching to people is, what do you want and why do you want it? Like, for real, for real, for real. And do you want it enough to sacrifice for it? Especially when you don't know how long you're going to sacrifice.
You know, it's interesting. And that triggered me. That did something to me. I was just having this conversation yesterday about how I feel like this conference planning season is so stressful because I recognize that, like, my prayer lately has been, God, prepare me to be the person that can pull something off like this. Prepare me to become that person. Because right now I recognize that how I be moving sometimes and how I be missing deadlines and kind of just doing what I do, it's not enough. Like, prepare my stewardship financially, prepare like all of the areas, prepare me. And I recognize it's stressful sometimes because it requires this sacrificing of certain habits, certain conversations, certain people, certain just connection meetings just to connect, but it's not intentional. And it's like this grieving process that you have to go through to actually become who you need to be. So I love what you're saying. Yeah. And this isn't the first time that you've experienced this, because when you shut down a company, I'm sure there was a grieving process. Can you walk me through, though? Because I said it in the intro and I'm sure people are like, what happened? What happened? Like, can you talk about the rise, the climax, and the fall? Like, what?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So I started Dear Diary in 2019. I actually wrote it as a college student. I was a sophomore in college when I wrote the program, is what it was. And it was a mentoring program for Black girls called Dear Diary. And I think it was like unlocking the secrets that keep us in bondage was what I wrote. But really what it was as a high school student, I just never I felt quiet. Like, I felt like there was a lot going on in my head that I wasn't able to express externally. And I never wanted that to be true. And so I wanted us to be able to share who we really are and what we're really going through out loud, because it's healing, right? And it actually gets us to where we want to be. So I wrote it as a sophomore in college, sat on it for about 10 years. then I was a grant writer. So like, let's fast forward 10 years. I now graduate from Tuskegee. I move to Wisconsin. I go to graduate school. I graduate from graduate school. I'm helping someone else who's writing a dissertation on something related to Black girls. Um, I'm helping her in the schools. I'm seeing different things. I
Yeah.
become a grant writer. I'm a grant writer on a board for a nonprofit. And I'm with them. This was my husband's way of keeping me around. He brought me onto this board so I can,
There it
you know,
is.
but I'm on this board, I'm writing grants, and they tell me we've actually never gotten this many grants. I'm the youngest on the board. I'm the only woman. We've actually never gotten this grants. Like, we write all the time, we don't get the money. So like, you're doing something different, but we need you to stop. I know we're going to talk about this, but
Yeah.
people are always like, write more grants, write more grants. But when you get the money, you have to do what you told them you're going to do, right? And
Yeah.
if you don't have that infrastructure in place, you got to build it and you got to do the work before the grant is expired.
Exactly.
So he's like, stop writing. You can't write anymore. The board pauses me. I'm like, okay, cool. The next week, a grant comes out for mentoring organization for youth in the community because of some violence that was going on. And I was like, I've been sitting on this thing. And Walter, my now husband, I was like, so I've been sitting on this thing. I really want to do it. I really want to write this grant. Odom told me, that was our president. Odom told me that I can't write anymore. The board voted that I can't write anymore. What should I do? And he was like, just ask them. Like, the worst thing they can say is no. I go to the board. I'm like, here's what I'm thinking. Here's what I want to write. They voted on it. They were like, if you get it, though, you are responsible for the entire thing. Like, we're hands off. We don't have capacity anymore. So it's your thing. I'm like, all right, sounds good. This is probably like, I'm going to say maybe it's the 6th grant I've ever written. So like, I'm not like an expert by any means. Or
how did the first 5 go?
The first 2 went like that. Maybe the first 3. So this may have been 8 because I think I had gotten like 5 or 6 for them before they cut me off.
Okay. So first 3 didn't go as well. Then you wrote a few more. You got some momentum. They kind of halted your ability to write because they didn't have capacity. And then on this 8th one,
they were like, it's all you.
Okay.
Write the grant. $60,000 was my ask. That was the max they would accept. $60,000. Okay. I get the grant fully funded.
That's crazy.
Fully funded. I'm like, holy. I think at the time I was like maybe 25.
Yeah.
I've never had that kind of money in my hands at one time. Like, and it was a reimbursement, and we can talk about all of that, but like, I've never had anybody commit that kind of money to like my idea. All right, here we go. And me getting that grant turned in was crazy. I had gone to concerts over the weekend. It was due Monday at noon. Concerts over the weekend. We were traveling. We get back in town. I had to do like sit on a panel for some high school students. I'm like, y'all, I have to turn this grant in. I remember I was writing it with my husband's best friend's now wife. And I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. I don't think I'm gonna make it. She was like, we're turning this grant in. I turned it in at 11:59. Wow. The counselor at the high school was like, you can do it in my office, because I wasn't gonna make it back to my office in time. She was like, finish it in my office and turn it in. Press the button. I'm like, please, Lord, let this email go through before noon. They email me back, your application has been received. So like, it was a crazy journey getting it turned in. Get it turned in, start building the company. Things are going well. It's me and Andrea. She's my assistant director. I think with that time we were like, we're going to serve 15 in a year. We were making, I think she was making $320 a month. I was making $530. We still had our full-time jobs. This was like something we did on the side. And let's say around June, people started to hear what we were doing.
Okay.
And I was sitting on a panel, and it was like they had built this coalition around these kids were stealing cars and all this stuff was going on. And they were like, how are you building connections and building trust and all of that? They then did a pilot and gave us $100,000 to continue this work.
Now, what year is this?
2019.
Okay, so in 2019, you've gotten this $60,000 grant, and then a little bit later, you got $100,000 commitment.
$100,000. Yep. So they're like, and it started with a pilot. So they were like, we want you to mentor some girls who are currently incarcerated but transitioning back into the community.
Okay.
We were like, all right, let's try it. Andrea was a social worker. So like our work was really compatible. We were like, let's try it. For that, we had 2 girls. They gave us $1,000. It was like 4 weeks. It wasn't anything crazy. That went really well. They extended it and we got the $100,000.
Now, as you're continuing, can you kind of like walk me through when somebody gets a grant, let's say they receive a grant, how does that work? Do you get a commission on the grant? Do they just provide you a check with $100,000? Like for people that don't know at all, like how do grants work?
Okay, when I'm writing for myself, it's different than when I'm writing for somebody else. When I'm writing for myself, if I get the grant, it depends on the grant terms. So every grant has different terms. Some of them say it's a reimbursement, which means you have to spend the money and then you bill them for what you've spent. So you got to have the money first.
That is fair.
Right? Which those are actually the worst because sometimes they'll be like, and then it's a net 60. So you won't see your money for at least 60 days after they've received it and all of that. It's a mess, but that's how most of them are. Most of them are like that. Then some of them are like, they give you the check and at the end of the year, you got to tell them what you spent it on, right? Some of those are really simple. Those are the best. Then there are some that may say we're reimbursement and you need a match. So they may say it's a 25% match. So they'll give you $100,000, but you also have to have 25,000 to match what they're asking for. It's a 25% match. So it just depends on the grant terms, how that works.
So what were the terms on the 100,000? Do you remember?
It was monthly distributions. So every month they gave me a percentage of it. So it was broken up into 12.
Interesting. Okay.
That was actually my first time getting one like that. My 60,000 was reimbursement.
Got it. Okay.
And they can tell you like what that looks like. So sometimes they may say it's reimbursement twice a year. It's reimbursement once a quarter. So everybody has different terms. My first one was with the city. And so it was monthly, but because my money was like tax dollars, it was like a little bit different. So
do you find when working with different companies or government entities that there's a standard way of doing things, or is it kind of all up in there?
It's all in there. Yeah.
Wow.
Because every grant program, even within the same company, can be a little bit different.
Interesting.
It's very interesting. And then there are others that are like, here's $100,000, have fun. We hope it works, right? Like it just really depends. Now on the consulting side, when I'm writing for other people, to your question, one, I don't get a commission of what they bring in. Legally and ethically, we're not supposed to do that because we can't guarantee that you're going to bring anything in. So it's hard for us to be paid like that. So I've had people that are like, can you write for me? I'm like, what's your budget? Oh, can you take it out of the grant? I can't because you might not get it, right? So I'll give you an example. Last year, I wrote a grant. No, 2024. I wrote a grant for a company and it was a federal grant. The administration canceled the program before the grant was, before they actually were notified if they got it. But I did all the work. Yeah. So I should have been paid for that, right? But had I been like, well, I'll just take my payment if you get it, I wouldn't have gotten paid because it was canceled, but that was out of my control. So I'm paid up front to write. And sometimes people will do it where like, we're going to pay you this percentage. And then once I submit it, you pay me this before I submit and things like that. But you're paid up front to write. At least you should be. So y'all, if anybody is like, I'll get paid out of the grant or any weird stuff.
Yeah.
That's not normal. That's not how we're ethically. And there's no like board, at least I don't think there is, of like professional grant writing board. But ethically, we can't guarantee that you're going to get it. Or if anybody's like, I can guarantee that you're going to get $100,000 from my writing, they cannot.
Can you talk about that though? Because I've had people approach me and say that they want to come in and they can help, our students in the Growth Lab or Growth Alliance pretty much guarantee that they'll get $100,000 in grants within 90 days. And I'm just looking at them like nothing's really guaranteed, first of all. But I don't know grants well enough to be able to understand that process. So can you talk about like, what is the percentage of grants that are written that people actually get?
Well, it depends. That number fluctuates. However, when I'm writing for somebody, if I feel that you have at least a 20% chance of getting it, which is low, but like it's 20%, I'll move you forward. 20% is kind of where we land. It's not high. But the thing is, as a grant writer, there are things that we do that like common folk won't know. I'll give you an example. If a company puts out a grant, we look at 990s, right? Which is their tax documents.
Yep.
And we can see where they've been spending money over the last X number of years. So
Interesting.
let's say they're like, oh, we fund education in Alabama. And you look at their 990, and over the last 5 years, they have not funded one education program in Alabama, and you're an education program in Alabama. It's like, I don't know about this, right? They might not actually fund you. What a great grant writer would do is they would reach out. Hey, I see that this is for organizations in Alabama, yet you haven't funded any over the last 5 years. Is this a new program that you're trying and you're strategically focused on Alabama? But a lot of people, they approach grants like a lottery, right? They just put their name in the hat and they hope for the best. There's a strategy to it, right?
Can you talk about the strategy? And we still got to go back to the 100,000 because I still got it there.
I mean, the strategy is, one, you have to know how to read an application, right? Like you have to know how to read a request for proposals. Most people write grants that they were never eligible for in the first place.
That's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time. So the first thing I always look at before I look at anything else, I'm like, what's the eligibility? Am I even eligible? If I'm eligible, then I look at who is giving me this money, right? And what are they giving me money for? Is that something that I already have infrastructure for or am thinking about building infrastructure for? A lot of people, and I always say, don't create a program for a grant. Find a grant for programs that you already have or that are coming down the pipelines.
You got to run that back. Say it again.
Don't create a program for a grant. Find a grant for a program that you already have or are planning to have.
That's good.
Okay? Because a lot of people will be like, I am going to write a grant for, let's just say me randomly. I'm going to write a grant for.
Hey, it's Kyle. Sorry to interrupt your programming, but I got a quick culture check for you. How's your team's energy right now? I mean, literally, right now. Are people feeling inspired? Or are they just showing up? See, here's the truth. Culture doesn't change because we talk about it. It changes because we live it actively every single day. And that's what I help organizations do. Build contagious cultures that people actually want to be a part of. Through keynote talks, interactive trainings, and hands-on consulting, I help leaders transform the way their teams connect, perform, and grow. So if your culture needs a little bit of spark, let's light it up together. Visit theculturelab.org, again, theculturelab.org, or connect with me directly on LinkedIn at Kyle S. King to learn more about how we can work together. Because remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching. Now let's get back to the program.
Free ice cream for kids in Chicago. Oh. I've never done that. Nothing to do with that, like at all. I write this grant, I get it. Let's say I get $50,000 and I have a year to spend the money. I have no company. I have no team. I have no banking system. I have no kids in Chicago. I have no ice cream distributor. That stuff takes time. Now, by the time I start, let's say it's June. My money got to be spent by December. Let's say it's June. Okay. I've spent the last 6 months trying to figure it out. I'm probably paying myself. I may be paying somebody else. I may be paying for space. Money goes quick, right? Yeah. Now it's June and you have 6 months to provide them with the outcomes you promised them last year when you wrote this grant.
Yeah.
Could it happen? Let's say I said I was going to provide 10,000 kids with ice cream. Now I got 6 months to provide 10,000 kids with ice cream in Chicago. And in 2 months, it's going to be cold as hell in Chicago. And ain't nobody going to want no ice cream.
Exactly.
Right? So you don't want to create a program for the grant because a lot of times the infrastructure necessary for you to do what you're telling them you're going to do, you don't have in place. Now, if I was planning on doing this and I just needed the money, right? That's a different situation because I just needed the money and now I have the money and I can move forward. But a lot of times people hire teams, right? the other piece I want to say, I don't want to forget. Then the grant, you use the money and you don't have no more money for that program that you just spent all this time building infrastructure for. So now that person you just hired has to go. The kids that you were giving ice cream to, they expected all the time, but now it's gone. Like all of these things are now a rippling effect, a domino effect of you making poor decisions as a leader. So you want to prevent that. And so I'm like, what are they funding? Do I already have infrastructure for what they're funding? What's the deadline? When is this due? Do I have time?
Yeah.
Right? If it's due on Friday and it's Tuesday and I still got my regular schedule, I may not have time, right? What does
How
this
long does it usually take somebody to write a grant though?
It depends on what they're asking, right? Like sometimes people are like, we want your financials for the last 5 years. We want your board's resume. We want your everybody on your team. We need their CV. We want all of your partners have to write a commitment letter. It's like those things take time. So you need to make sure that you've budgeted enough time for all the things that they're requiring you to submit. Right. So I look at all of that before I'm even like, I'm going to move forward. Like, these are the things that I'm like, I am actually looking at a grant, trying to convince myself of all the reasons why I shouldn't write it.
And that's a completely different ideology rather than, oh, it's $50,000. We should get on this. So you're more so creating a risk measure on all of the time we're going to waste, on all of the documents that we're going to have to get, on all of the different things that we're going to have to provide. And can we even do what the grant is requiring us to do?
Yes. I'm looking at all of that. Like, do we already have what we need? I'm also looking at, and again, I've been doing this for over 10 years, so I have a different level of experience, but I'm also looking at like, do I want to partner with them? Do I want my name attached to their name?
Good.
What is this process actually going to look like? They typically give you your contract in the request for proposal. It'll say like, this is a sample contract. I'm looking through that and I'm like, is this going to be a pain? Like, are you going to be a really difficult partner? I don't want to work with difficult partners, right? Like, and then are you going to be a partner beyond the dollars, right? Like what networks do you have that I'm currently not attached to? When I add you as somebody that I know, what other doors does that open beyond you?
That's good.
Right. And so I'm looking at all of these things before I say, okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Right. Again, I am weeding myself out. They too are going to do that. A lot of people are like, oh, my grant wasn't accepted. They didn't like my idea. They may not have even read your idea.
That's good.
It's so practical and technical, which thank God for my thesis because it too was practical and technical. Yeah. But when I tell you they're reading that, and if they say that it can't be more than 5 pages and you give them 6, you're out. They don't read it. They're looking for reasons to push you out before they read it. Because if I can only give out 10 grants and 500 people apply, I'm not reading 500 applications. Yeah. If I can get that down to 40, that's what they're going to do. So how can I get rid of all these other people?
In your experience, are there still, with the evolution of technology, when we look at like resumes for companies, like people aren't reading those resumes until they go through a process? With grants, is it similar? Is AI reading through the grants that come in and then it goes to a person? Like what are you seeing on that end?
You know what? I don't actually know. The grant industry is very antiquated. It's very similar to the nonprofit industry, right? And the philanthropic industry is very, very, very old school, which is interesting because a lot of the people that give the money are typically people who are extremely wealthy from very new and innovative systems. But like the nonprofit industry is very antiquated. I get a lot of my notoriety on LinkedIn from like talking about the nonprofit industry being like old school. Right. And so with grants, I'm not sure how many of these companies are going about scoring now. They used to go about scoring by hiring, even sometimes it would be volunteers as reviewers. And so they would review a certain number. So they may say like, we're going to get 4 reviewers. We're going to get this pool down to 40. Each of you are going to have 10. And then we're going to come together and we're going to pick based on like how you guys decided we're going to pick from there. So they like hire people to help them weed people out. I'm not really sure how people are doing it now. I don't sit on the review side as much as I used to because I sit on the writing side and I get more money for that. But I'm not sure. I will say this. When you write a grant for a public entity, so let's say you write it for like a government entity, it's public. Yeah. It's public record. I have been reading a lot of grants that have been submitted on public sites because that's what I do in my free time. And people are using AI to write their grants so poorly.
Oh my gosh.
And now, instead of AI working for you, and I use AI, it has been excellent for efficiency.
Yeah.
A lot of people are using AI and it is actually working against them.
Talk about it.
You can look at an application and tell that they've written it with AI. You can tell they don't know what they're really doing. They put it in a chat bot and was like, hey, this is the question. Here's a little bit of my answer. Write it. And you start to sound like everybody else that's writing that grant.
Exactly.
I do use AI for my grants. However, I have been grant writing for 10 years. I have a plethora of grants that I've written with my own brain that I'm very impressed by because I've gone back and I'm like, wow, you're doing good, girl, with no AI. But I now have GPTs and I now have my own, like, this is my IP. This is how I write. And grants still take me a long time. Exactly. So a grant used to take me a month. Now it might take me 2 weeks, but it still takes me time. It's not like it took me a month and now it takes me a day. It still takes me time. I read every single thing that it spits out. I revise 98% of it. Like, it still takes a lot of work on my end, but me being the expert and me being able to do this and having done this for so long, I can use AI to my advantage. But like, if you don't know what you're doing, AI just shows that you don't know what you're doing.
Oh, 100%. Like literally 100%. Like AI is really exposing people, not just empowering people.
Yes.
And what we used to say when I was teaching is that technology is a resource, not a replacement. And I think a lot of times we're using AI to literally think for us rather than being the thought leader and having it help us and being an aid. It's more so of a replacement of our thoughts and all of these different things. I even have people that comment under my posts in AI. It's like, I know this is AI. It's crazy. It's insane. It's like, do you have your own thoughts? So you've been doing this work for a decade. Like, so you understand what to do, what the industry needs, all of these different things. But when you won that $100,000 grant at the 8th time, walk me through from there to now.
Yeah, so I got that grant. Great. I started my company. I started Dear Diary and we were mentoring 15 by the end of, so let me say this. When you get grants, and my 100,000 actually wasn't a grant. That I didn't have to write for that one. That one was like, they just decided to give me the money. So like, that's the other nice thing. Like once you're in, you're kind of in, right? Like, cause now you're touching elbows with the people that are giving money. Now you're getting free press releases. Now you're getting this. People want to know what you're doing. When I started Dear Diary, companies were not saying out loud that they served Black kids explicitly. A lot of that came after George Floyd, after Black Lives Matter in 2020. Right, exactly. A lot of that came after that. But when I started, it was very taboo to be like, we're a mentoring organization for Black girls. That was like, I mean, I had funders that were like, can you be for all girls? I was like, you're just not for us. Like, I walked away from money. All money ain't good money. So I get the 100,000. We're doing our work. COVID happens, March of 2020. COVID happens. None of us knew that it would be what it turned into. But the one thing I will say is I never wanted Dear Diary to have a building because I was like, we're for the girls. They shouldn't have to come to us. We should go to them because that's a new barrier, right? And so I was like, how do we remove as many barriers as we can? Transportation is a barrier.
Yeah.
So we never had a building. So when COVID happened, we didn't have to like close, right? We never had anything to close. So, and we didn't have that overhead of a building.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, what do we do? Okay, well, shelter in place was a week, then it was 2 weeks, then it was 4 weeks, then it was 3 months, right? We're trying to figure out how do we serve our girls, and we didn't have that many at the time. We had like maybe 20.
Okay.
How
Okay.
can we connect with these 20? So the thing we created was called lock boxes, Dear Diary lock boxes. And we dropped off supplies to their house. We rung the doorbell, like ding dong ditch, run the doorbell, left their boxes there, and we transitioned to online. Their boxes were a week's worth of activities that we could do on Zoom.
That's good.
People took notice. They were like, wait a minute, y'all are giving these boxes, y'all are doing this. Our girls are posting what they're doing with us on their social media. People are taking notice. Then when our shelter in place was up, they were like, you can do programming, but it has to be outside and you have to social distance, all of that. We had a program that we had got a contract for, and I don't remember how we got it, but we were doing like teaching girls how to like do their hair and like braids and all of that. We were doing it in a parking lot. And every day we had new girls. Parents were driving by. They're like, what are y'all doing? And by now it's summer. So they're like, what are y'all doing? Can my daughter join? How much is it? It was free at the time. More girls, more girls, more girls, more girls. Before I knew it, we were now on the news because we had too many kids. So that started this like, okay, for me, I was like, okay, I can actually do this thing.
Yeah.
In Wisconsin, schools were out for 2 years. But I was like, we have something. Our girls are missing that social aspect. They're going to school, but like not really. Yeah. Teachers are teaching, but not really. We contracted teachers to come in and tutor our girls twice a week for an hour. And then the second hour was their like social and emotional learning time. We did that. And it just kept growing and it kept growing and it kept growing. They were out of school for 2 years. I was like, hey, school districts, I know y'all got money. The schools are closed. Would you be willing to contract with us to provide tutoring to keep our girls up to speed and social and emotional learning as part of that? So now we're not writing grants. We're going directly to school districts. We're getting contracts, discretionary dollars, right? Keep going. Things are going.
And this was a nonprofit. And that's why I feel like this conversation is so valuable, because you've never run your nonprofit like a traditional nonprofit executive would. You would think, someone listening in, that you're literally running a for-profit company. Where did that psychology come from? Because these are things that you're doing that we're doing on a for-profit side.
I didn't realize that I was running my nonprofit like a for-profit until people were like, wait a minute, you're not running this like regular people run this. I was running this the way that made the most sense for me to live the life I wanted to live. I didn't want to be broke.
Good.
And too many nonprofit leaders were broke. I also didn't know that I could help people and have a for-profit. Right? The training. Everybody's like, you give back to your community, you have a nonprofit. You give back to your community, you have a nonprofit. Had I known what I could have done as a for-profit, I may have gone in a different direction. Maybe. I don't know, right? Because it worked. Yeah. But I've always known that I didn't want to be poor. And to me, nonprofit status was just a tax status. That was not my business model. I needed a business model, right? Like I needed a way to bring in enough money to be able to push out enough money to be able to do the thing that I wanted to do. And when I got that first $60,000 and started to realize how expensive everything was, I was like, there's no way to run this on hopes and dreams. I have big hopes and big dreams, but you can't run a company like that. And I didn't. I want to get to like kind of the big rise and then the fall. Big rise. Our governor in Wisconsin comes out with a grant, equitable recovery grant. We qualified for it. Super easy. They were like, we're making it easy on purpose. We want people to be able to use this money, blah, blah, blah. I write the grant. My grant I wrote, it was $619,292. I know it like the back of my hand.
Wow.
I write the grant. I don't get it. Okay. Now, another lesson. I could have written for up to $1 million. Why did I do 619? Because I didn't know how to use $1 million. I
Mm.
didn't feel that I could handle $1 million and that they would give me $1 million. I was like, if you go a little bit over 500,000, but don't go too high, don't get carried away, then maybe you have a better chance.
That's good.
Anybody listening, you always ask for the max amount. Always. Find a way to ask for the max amount. Let them talk you down. They typically will. They tell me I don't get the grant. I'm like, dang, that sucks. Life moves on, right? Like at this point, things were going great for us. Like it wasn't the end of the world. It would have been great, not the end of the world. About 3 months later, they emailed me and was like, we found more money and we want to give you your grant. Changed my life. Because at the time, I was like, if I can get our budget to 500,000 a year, we would be good. We would be in a really good space. They have now given me $619,000.
Wow.
We were good for 2 years. Everything else I brought in was extra, right? Everything else was extra. What was the fall? In 2020, so in 2023, I had my son. Before I had my son, I made some really poor hires because I was like, I need to hire people. I need to have people in place so that I can take 6 months off to like be with my son.
Yep.
Made some poor hires. So our culture went crazy. I'm sure you would love to talk about that, but our culture went crazy.
Yeah.
In that 2024 happens. My son was born in July of 2023. I came back to work in January of 2024. Now Trump is running for president. Now Biden is all over the place. then it's Kamala. I'm also in a new space because I'm a new mom. My priorities are a little bit different. I can't be working all night. Like things have changed. So a lot of that led up to kind of this thing. Also, our girls were very different. Right? Like at this time, we had gone into the schools. We had like huge contracts with school districts. I mean, $250,000 contracts per school, per district, all of that. It was crazy. I had always said I wouldn't go into schools because I felt like we were better as a volunteer, like a voluntary program outside of schools. So if girls wanted to come in, they should choose to come in. Post-COVID, we became like the push out space. She's not going to class, go to Dear Diary for the day.
Got it.
And my team started to deal with a lot more behavioral stuff than actually being able to do the work. So I think a lot of that bubbled up. And then when Trump was elected, well, as the election was kind of happening, unfolding, a lot of our funders, and we didn't have DEI dollars. Like we believe in what you're doing and it's huge, so we want a part of it. But a lot of those people were like, you're actually, because you have in your title, you're for Black girls. I mean, it was on all of our stuff.
Yeah.
They were like, we don't know what this new administration will do if he wins. So they hadn't pulled out yet, but they were like, money is looking funny. Our priorities are going to have to shift. We're going to have to think about something different. And because of that, and so many people have been like, oh my God, that's so terrible. That's business, right? They can't give me money they don't have. And a lot of them weren't necessarily only focused on like, we don't want to fund you guys. They're like, we might need our money for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't know what our budgets are going to look like. So we're cutting a lot of our philanthropic budget because we just don't have it.
That's good.
So we lost about a year's worth of operating dollars in like 24 hours. It was, I mean, November 4th happened. I was like, holy crap. November 5th, my email was going crazy. And I had to make some really hard decisions. And so the great thing is that I was able to lay my team off with a severance. I was able to support my team with finding jobs. Everybody was fine but me. Everybody was fine but me. Yeah. And I went through that grieving process of like, who am I now? Did I box myself in? I've been on this like Black girl, Black women, Black this, Black that. Now we have somebody who can't even say Black out loud. Like I can't even exist out loud. Who am I now in this space? And what I've learned over the last year or so is that I'm still that woman who champions Black women, and I can't change that. Now it just requires me to have the courage to stand in that regardless of what's going on outside of me.
Yanna, there's so much power in you sharing your story. There's so much relatability to not only myself, but a lot of people I'm sure that are listening as well. Existing in chaos, essentially. Existing in a space where people don't even want you to exist in that space, but still having to exist so that you could be able to empower other people that need a voice of their own. How would you describe who you are now and the mission that you're on now, and what are programs or opportunities that you have to be able to continue to push this mission forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think now I know a lot more than I knew before, right?
Much more.
Now I'm really on this journey of how do I continue to be the example for Black women and lead my people. Last year, and I don't think that this is coincidental. I feel like God is, he's so intentional. Last year, while I was really trying to like figure out who I am and sit in that and accept that who I am is who I am, over 400,000 Black women were pushed out of the workforce. Pushed out, laid off, roles completely dismantled, divisions completely shut down. We were hit the hardest during a year where God equipped me to have the courage to stand for these women.
Yeah.
Right. And so today, and this is not a sad story at all. Today, I feel that my mission in life is even more important because now these women only have themselves and each other to lean on.
Yeah.
Right? That's all we got. So much of what I've always wanted to show and the legacy I've always wanted to build, it's like my time is now. I feel like God has been like, good luck, have fun. And me going viral last week was me doing that. The group chat has been an idea of mine for a very, very, very long time. I wanted rich Black female friends. I want us to be on boats. I want the umbrellas and our drinks. Like I really wanted that. And I'm like, the only way we get that is if we have the power to choose on our own. We need ownership. We can't be dependent on one source of income. We can't be dependent on one company. We have to build infrastructure for ourselves because they are pushing us out. Right? They are trying to like erase us altogether where we're dependent on them. And so now I'm on this mission to really help Black women and Black girls own the future of work for themselves. How do you put yourself in position where you control what you bring in and your ability to live the life that you really want to live? So I'm focused on how do we make more money? Everything I do is about how do we make more money?
You already know.
To fundraising, to sponsorships, to partnerships. I'm like, how can we make more money? How do we get more dollars in our hands to be able to do with them what we want to do with them? And so that's the work that I'm really focused on. I'm still consulting. I'm still writing grants. I just got a call today for 3 new clients, which is great. I'm still writing like a maniac and I love it. But really, I am like, how do I continue to lead the charge of giving Black women the ability to choose to live the life of their dreams?
A Black woman's listening. A Black girl's gonna watch this. What's one sentence that you wish all of them heard when they heard this episode?
You have the power to write your own story. Use your pen.
Tell me more.
So many of us feel like life happens to us. You have the power to decide what the world will say about you when you're no longer here. Take control of that. Use the pen. Write the story. Who are you? What do you want people to know about you? What's deep inside your belly that you're like, if only I could, if only this, if only that, what if this? Find out. Find out. Because that is only in you. Everybody can't do it. I always thought everybody can do what I'm doing. Everybody could run a multi-million-dollar business. Everybody could have started Dear Diary. Everybody can write a grant. Everybody is not Kalyanna Williams. It's just one. It's just one. So if I don't do all of the things in my life that I really want to do, if all the things that are living and swimming in my head, if I don't bring them to life, if I don't bring them out into the world, they could never happen. I'm not okay with that.
When's the book come out?
Take control. You know what?
When's
I
the
was
book
on
come
a
out,
call
man?
before you, and she was like, "Have you ever thought about writing a book?" So I wanted to write a book last year. And I was going through my whole journey last year, and I was like, I don't have the privilege of writing a book right now. I don't have the privilege of time right now. I got to do what I got to do. What I really wanted to write about, my mentor wrote a book called Saving Black America, and it was an economic plan for civil rights. Yeah. Love it. It's not available anymore. He's passed, and they're not printing it anymore. Excellent book, but it was like, Black folks, this is what we got to do. I wanted to write a part 2 to that. Yeah. I've already started a lot of it. But I really think the book on my heart is Dear Diary. And it is the personal journey that I've had to go through to build out this company that has become whatever it's going to become from now on. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like Dear Diary, it kind of is like this double entendre of like, here's everything I learned in building a business, but here's like really what I learned about building myself and becoming the woman who owns and operates this billion-dollar business.
So this is what I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna hold you accountable publicly.
Oh, don't do it.
You're speaking at the Contagious Culture Conference, and I'm so excited for that. We're gonna buy 50 copies of that book to be able to gift to attendees at the Contagious Culture Conference. If you're a listener right now, go to spreadcontagiousculture.com, spreadcontagiousculture.com. I felt like it was a perfect opportunity for that. So Yanna, I need you to get the book finished because I've now already committed to it publicly. And tell us about what you're speaking about at the Contagious Culture Conference.
How am I supposed to talk about anything after that?
That's it.
How am I supposed to talk about anything after that? I'm like sweating, sweating. Okay, y'all, like my pits are sweating. Everything is okay. At the conference, if I remember correctly, I am speaking on going to get money.
Going to get this money.
I am speaking on going to get money. And I am talking a bunch about how do you create earned revenue sources? How do you tell your story through grant writing? How do you secure the right partnerships? How do you secure the right sponsorships so that you can actually do the work that you're interested in doing? And you can sustain that work so that you can operate without chaos. Too many of us are operating in chaos. And the reason why is that you don't have the money in order for you not to operate in chaos. You have ideas. You have like what you wish you could do, what you one day want to do, but you don't actually have the capital and the revenue in order for you to actually do those things. Or it's attached to people that don't allow you to do the things the way that you want to do them. We're changing all of that. We're really going to focus on, and we're really going to lock in on how do you create a sustainability structure that allows you to do the work that is very important to you, allows you to live the life that is also very important for you, and allows you to make the impact that is very important for you.
Look, I'm going to say this right now. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of the woman that you're becoming, the women that you're going to uplift and empower, how you've been able to own your story. And you're going to help so many women this year rewrite, recover, and rebuild the lives that our economy has forced them to be able to shift. And super excited for you to be at the Contagious Culture Conference. This episode was powerful because of your honesty, your strategy, your mission, and you being just vulnerable and sharing your story. Family, if this episode gave you the language for what you've been feeling, we want you to like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone in your circle. Yanna, where can people find you and how can we support you?
Yeah. Best place to find me is LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. I think I'm Kalyanna Williams. So LinkedIn.com/in Kalyanna Williams, Kalyanna Williams. I am on Instagram at Yanna, Yanna Beans, Beans, my childhood nickname. Those are two places that are the easiest to find me. If you can share my email and all of that with everybody. I am an open book, y'all. I read all of my own messages. I write all of my own LinkedIn posts. I comment on all my stuff. No AIs, it's just me. But absolutely an open book. And if there's any way that I can help you or support you or give you words of encouragement or any of that, like for real, reach out. Kyle and I met on LinkedIn. Like, y'all legit reach out. Like,
for sure.
I'm real. I'm regular. I'm human.
She's a real person. She's a real person. As always, anybody listening, go build something contagious. So contagious that it changes everything. One question that we always ask at the end of our episodes is, what type of culture are you spreading? The energy you bring is the culture you create. Go make yours worth catching. We'll see you guys next episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Contagious Culture Podcast. If this episode challenged or inspired you, hey, take a second to share it with someone who's building culture in their world. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps more leaders, educators, and change makers just like yourself join the movement. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or YouTube at Kyle S. King for more tips, tools, and methodologies to be able to help you create this ecosystem of absolute excellence. Until next time, lead boldly, live intentionally, and remember, your culture is contagious. Make it worth catching.